Aloha and welcome to Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics. We are a group on meetup.com if you would like to join us live for these events. My name is Geralyn Joseph. I am a psychic intuitive and an intuitive relationship empowerment coach. I have been doing this for quite some time. Today's topic is 7 symptoms of a low vibration. 7 symptoms of a low vibration person, or how to know you're falling into a lower vibration. The first question is always, what are you talking about? What is a vibration? What does it mean when somebody's saying, you're high vibe or you're low vibe or you're harsh and my mellow and that kind of thing? Well, your vibration is the frequency that you typically like to remain at. So your frequency will go up and down, or your vibe will go up and down, depending on your emotional state and the state of things around you. We can control our vibration to a very, very large extent. We can control that. Sometimes, though, it gets very difficult to do so because we may move in circles of people or be going through a pattern of time. So today what we're discussing is how to see that you're beginning to fall down into it, what that looks like, what to do to stop yourself from doing that, and what it looks like when you're around people who are already there. Vibration or frequency is extremely important to many factors, including your physical, mental, and emotional health. When you don't pay attention to your frequency, to your vibration, some people will tend to start to go down, especially in times like these. This is 2022, and regardless of when you're going to see this, most people will know that in 2020, 2021, and most of 2022, we were dealing with COVID and everything that entails. A large part of what was happening during that period of time was isolation, loneliness, illness, and fear. Fear is the lowest of all vibrations. Fear pulls everything else down. There are times when fear is necessary in order to get us to move and to change our physiological state so that we move forward quickly. But many times in today's era, especially in America, although it is different in some other parts of the world, the fear is mass produced. It is something where we feed off of one another, and there are things that we really don't need to worry about because it's not a life and death situation, but we worry about because we're people. 7 symptoms of a low vibe. When we talk about this, we could talk about the 7 deadly sins. Whether you're religious or not, I'm sure you've heard of this. There are many movies that surround these concepts, and we're going to go through these and look at what they are, how to figure out if we are getting into that low of a vibration, if it's around us, and what to do about it, if so. And so that you guys know, on Thursday on Coffee with Conversation for Well-Being, we're going to be discussing jealousy versus envy. One of the deadly sins is envy, and we will be getting to that. We'll be going over that fairly quickly in this talk, but we will be getting into envy and how to combat it and why it's so bad, much more on Thursday. So we've all heard the saying, pride goes before the fall. And when we talk about pride, we think about several different things. What we're talking about when we're talking about a low vibe or something that's heavier is not just, oh, I'm proud I did that. I finally got that done, or I have this achievement and I'm proud of it, or a child being proud of a painting they did or something like that. We talk about pride as in pride goes before the fall. Hubris. Hubris is when people have a sense, an inflated sense of self. So on an extreme scale, that would be a narcissistic. Otherwise, it could just be where you get to the point where you feel like you can't do anything wrong, or you are the absolute best at whatever it is. And whether you are or not, there's always things to learn. There's always something new coming up and being created. So what is the opposite of pride? And how do we know the difference between pride that is low vibration and pride that's going to give us a higher vibration? So pride that is higher vibration feels like excitement. It's something you want to share with people. It's not something you're throwing at people to make them feel bad. It's something that you want to share because you're so happy about it. When you're happy, oftentimes that lifts up your vibration, and it's an excited feeling. It's like, woo, you feel it up here. You feel like you could do anything. Pride in the lower vibration, as being prideful, is someone who, as I said, thinks they can't do anything wrong. They don't want to hear from anybody. It's not about communication. It's about control. Many people who are very prideful get that way because the underlying emotion of it, the underlying energy, is actually insecurity. And that's true for a lot of these things. So someone, like if you have a boss who doesn't want to hear anybody else's ideas, or if he does hear somebody else's ideas, he'll tell you how stupid it is, and then he'll steal your idea and say that he came up with it. That type of pride and hubris is this haughty feeling of, what do you know? And the sensation in the person is heavier. It feels more like a weight, and it's a fear. It's a type of fear where you're afraid of being found out. You're afraid that people don't really see you the way you want to be seen. You're afraid of making a mistake. You're afraid of somebody showing that you are wrong, or maybe you don't know everything. And this type of pride is what they're talking about. It's hubris. What is the opposite of that type of pride? It is humility. Having humility, understanding that there's always someone who knows more than you. There's always changes that can be made, and that you need to be open to the people around you and what's happening around you in order to see the full picture. When you are sitting in the sin of pride, you're not looking at anything except yourself and trying to make sure that you don't lose your standing. What's interesting about this word is it's used in a positive and a negative fashion, the same way that judgment is. Use your good judgment. Don't judge me. Don't be judgmental. So both of these things, and many of our words today, there are nuances in the way they're being used. So when you're speaking and you're dealing with someone, try to be as specific and as nuanced as possible and look at the big picture. The second major deadly sin is avarice. What is avarice? Avarice is greed. And again, what is the core of greed? The core of greed is fear of loss. It is sitting in a sense of lack. Like no matter how much you have, it's never going to be enough. So then you get greedy and you feel like things are finite. There's only 10 marbles and there's 10 of us. And I know each of us could have a marble, but I'm going to take all the marbles before anybody else gets any, just in case somebody else was going to take 2 and I wouldn't get mine. So again, it's really cemented in fear. Fear is the core of most of these things, if not all of them. And fear, again, will bring your vibration. It brings your emotional body. It brings everything down. Because when you go into fear, into a fear space, you're also chunking everything down. Everything becomes very finite. And then you have blinders on. So you're not seeing what's actually happening around you. You're just looking right in front of you. Then we have lust. Is lust really so bad? Well, we have to remember that these 7 things are extremes. We're not talking about a regular attraction. We're talking about lust, where you want somebody no matter what, and you are going to get them. And there is a sense, again, of where it's got to be this one person. You have your blinders on. You don't see anybody else but this one person. And you're very lustful. You need it. You have to have them. It's about ownership. It's about control. It's about satisfying your own needs, period. Not even satisfying your own needs first, but satisfying your own needs, period. You can lust after someone sexually, but you could also lust after money. You can lust after possessions. Lust is that feeling of, I have to, I need it. And again, it's a fear of loss and a fear of lack. What is the opposite of being lustful? Well, it is chaste, being chastity, where everything has its place and you're rather stoic with things. But the opposite of lust is also, instead of a need, recognizing it as a want and being able to bring things into the center. Lust is over the top. You could really be attracted to somebody and not totally be lusting after them, because lust means it's all consuming and it reverberates in your entire being. Lust will only get you so far. And when we're talking about relationships, there's a little bit of lust there, but it's more of an attraction. So to call it lust means that that's all you see is that person and how you can use them, or that thing and how you can use it. So lust is not necessarily a good thing. Attraction is. Knowing what you want is a good thing, but everything in moderation. And I think that's what a lot of this is about. Fear and moderation. When we go too much in any direction, what we end up doing is really harming ourselves and harming the people around us. It's not good for our relationships, any of them, our relationship with self, our relationship with spirit, or our relationship with others. So remember that. Number 4 is wrath. We all know wrath. It's anger. It's being out of control. It's not being able to temper ourselves and push that into a space where it's useful instead of destructive. Wrath tends to be very destructive. And again, it's all about fear. When you're wrathful, you're attacking, and you're attacking just to attack, as opposed to attacking something specific or trying to fix something or change something so that it's more useful for more people. Many, many people are wrathful today. All you have to do is go into Twitter and look at all the name calling and the trigger. Oh, we have all these trigger words. Oh, you have to let me know if I'm going to be triggered. All this trigger stuff. There are actual triggers, like someone with PTSD from being in the war, hearing a gunshot or a loud bang. That's a real trigger. Being triggered because you don't want to hear something, because it doesn't agree with your views, that's not an actual trigger. That's more selfishness. Again, you're wrapping yourself up in yourself in like bubble wrap, so that nothing can get in, that you just live in your little echo chamber and nothing else is going to happen. When you get to the point of wrath, also, that's mob mentality. And oftentimes that's when there's so much destruction and it's wanton destruction. It doesn't matter. It could be something that you held dear that you're destroying, and not recognizing that that's what you're doing because you're so angry. You just, as they say, see red. And it's just about obliterating whatever's in front of you, all of it, and not taking into account any of the nuances or anything that's happening. As you can see, as we move through these, we're 4 deep now. We're talking a lot about fear, about being self-centered, about not being able to pull ourselves back from something to see the nuances that exist. And these are all things that are very, very destructive. to you, to society, to relationships of all kinds, and to you physically also. But it all lowers your vibration, because when you are sitting in fear all the time and you are that quick to react, that's your undercurrent. We don't want our undercurrent to be being prideful or having hubris or being greedy, avarice, being lustful, or being wrathful or angry all the time. All these things pull us down. They're not doing anything to help you become a better person or move forward in life. You're just hunkering down and digging that hole that you're going to stay in because you feel safe there, or you're hoping to feel safe there. The sad part of it is that most of the time when we have these behaviors, we're actually making things worse instead of better. There's a part of us that our ego actually feels that these are safety measures, but they're not. They're too extreme. Anything in the extreme is going to be painful. It is going to be destructive. Temperance is the key. Then the next, everybody's favorite, is gluttony. So what is gluttony? Gluttony is like, it's akin to greed. I mean, if we look at these, we could really chunk them down to less than 7, but these are being more specific. So gluttony is also, could be lust, someone who has a sex addiction. Gluttony can also be greed, where you want everything. Gluttony itself is basically eating too much, getting too much. Whatever the thing is, the soothing thing is, you take in too much of it. And this is where eating disorders come from. I mean, when you have an eating disorder where you have to eat everything, there's a sense, again, of fear. You're not getting enough. You're not going to have enough. Somebody's going to get more than you. So we need to be very aware of these things. And what is the opposite of gluttony? It's temperance. And temperance is just taking what you need and sharing the rest, seeing how things could be put to best use. You don't go too far in this direction or this direction. You stand in the middle. Does that mean that you have no preferences? No. Does that mean that you let people walk all over you? No. What it means is that you find balance in things. And finding balance is very, very important to helping ourselves lift ourselves out of a low vibration. Then we have envy. And envy is very interesting, because envy is looking at something and wanting something that we don't have. As opposed to jealousy. Jealousy is fear of losing something. Envy is fear of not getting something. So if you're envious, a lot of people are envious of friends who are more successful. Maybe they're more financially successful. Maybe they have a better relationship. Maybe they have kids and you can't have kids, and you're envious of these things. But what envy does, again, is you're tapping into lack. You're tapping into a sense of not being grateful for what you have, but only recognizing what you don't have. How do we combat that? Gratitude. The opposite of envy is gratitude. So being grateful for what you have will help you from being so envious of things that you don't have. So one of the tricks of envy, which is interesting, is that generally people who are envious will never attain whatever it is they're envious of. So to be envious of somebody else's relationship, you often have an idea in your head of what that relationship is that is not accurate. That is not what it is. That is not the way it works. That is not who those people are. It's an idealized look at things. Being envious, Elon Musk, richest man on earth, right? Brilliant man, has all these different companies, has started all these different things, has just exploded. he didn't come from money. He didn't come from that. He worked his way up to that. So you can be envious of that, but by being envious of it, you're never going to get there because you're not going to see what it took to get there. From things that I've read and seen on his way moving forward, he was like crazy, working all the time, always with ideas, always doing something with it, always moving forward, not taking a break. That's what it takes to be that successful, to have that level of success. You have to be willing to work for it. But when you're envious, you're not seeing all the work that went behind it. You're just saying, I want what he has. It's not fair that he has that and I don't. And when you're using that kind of languaging, especially, oh, it's not fair and blah, 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 you know you are not looking at the full picture. Even if he was born into it, at some point his family did something to earn it and keep it. So there's always a bigger picture to things. There are always nuances to things that you need to look at. And when you start to fall into low vibration, it's like going into, oh, woe is me. I don't have this. I don't have that. Instead of looking at what you do have. And as I said, here in America, we have all of our needs met. Even our street people are better off than some people in other places where they don't have clean water that they have access to. There's no way for them to beg for money because nobody's got any. There's storms or different things that might happen that we don't have to deal with. So looking at your situation and always looking at what's better and being envious of that only keeps you stuck in your situation. That's not going to give you the feeling, the energy, the impetus, the innovation that you need to move forward. So then we have the last, which is sloth. And what is sloth? Sloth is being lazy, basically. But it's more than just being lazy. It's wanting everything handed to you. It's about moving very slowly and knowing that there will be someone else to pick up the slack. And as we move into sloth, this whole, stamping your feet, this is not fair, that's not fair. Yes, there are things in the world that are not fair. There are things in the world that are not equitable. And yes, we need to work to change that where it can be changed. Work is the key word in that sentence. So all of these things work together to keep you down and to keep you in a space where you don't have the energy to move forward. So there's no desire. Sloth is where there's a lack of desire to move. You call that extreme depression. When people get extremely depressed and their vibration is very low, they find it very difficult to do anything to help themselves. Sometimes, if they're not too far gone, what can help people is to help others. So when you're not feeling good about something, to go and help someone else get out of some kind of a situation will help lift you up and help you feel better. And then that may give you the energy that you need to go do something else. So we have pride, which is vanity. We have greed or avarice. We have lust. We have wrath. We have gluttony, envy, and sloth. When we feel these in our body, even just saying it, I want you guys to take a deep breath and relax. And I want you to close your eyes. And I'm going to say each word in turn. And I want you to feel what that feels like in your body. And then we're going to let it go because we don't want to sit with that. And you may want to consider, if you know someone who behaves in this way, or who, when you're around them, you start to feel this way, because being around people of different vibrations, either people can lift you up, they can keep you steady, or they can pull you down. And when someone is exhibiting these 7 traits, it will pull you down, and it is very difficult to get out from under them. So it's best not to be in that situation or be around those people. It is best to be able to really discern what's happening. And by knowing what the energy feels like, it makes it a little bit easier for you to step away from it or protect yourself from it. Okay, take a deep breath and release. Vanity, pride, hubris. Where do you feel it in your body? How does it feel? Okay, we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to clear that one. Take a deep breath and release. Pull in white light energy. See yourself as glowing from within. And we are releasing hubris, pride, and vanity. When someone is around us who exhibits this, oftentimes what we feel is we feel like something's around our throats, or we feel subordinate or suppressed. And this is because pride is about being bigger than life and bigger than everything around you. And it's about knowing that you're better. But we know, really, in the back of their minds, they're afraid they're not better. There's a lot of fear that goes into that. I also find it interesting that certain movements will grab on to some of these words and try to make them mean something different, or try to say that pride, all pride is bad. Pride goes before the fall. Hubris goes before the fall. And yes, pride is a part of that. However, being proud of an accomplishment or proud of who you are is not necessarily a bad thing. So again, noticing, where is the scale? How does this feel? Really getting in and recognizing who you are makes all the difference in the world. Let's go with, I'm only going to do 2 more. And then if you want to do this later by yourself, you can do that and see what it feels like. And when we see what it feels like, we can then process it more easily and notice if we're tipping in that direction. Thank you. See if we're tipping in that direction, or see if someone is coming at us with that energetic. Okay, so let's go again. Take a deep breath and release. Lust. Want. Need. Lust. Okay, where do you feel that? Where is it in your body? Okay, we're going to clear it. Take a deep breath And release it. Imagine yourself filled with white light energy. See yourself as glowing from within. Woo, feel that clear, tingly feeling. So with lust, we often feel that in our base chakra or our root chakra, which is where our survival is. It's where our sexual instincts is. And that's lust is about need. Like you need this to survive. It is very aggressive, and it is very singularly focused, like so many of these. Okay, so the last one we're going to do is sloth. And when we do this, I want to see if you could tell me where you're feeling this and how it feels to you. Okay. Take a deep breath. And relax. Sloth. Lazy. Slow. Uninspired. You're dragging. Sloth. Where do you feel that? How does it feel in your body? Okay, now we're going to get rid of it. I don't want it hanging around too long. Take a deep breath and release. Relax. Imagine white light coming in through the top of your head and filling you up. See yourself as glowing from within. Feel that energy as it lifts you up, inspires you and fills you. Okay. So sloth, you could also call that a wet blanket. One of my favorite sayings is like, it's like a wet shoe. If you ever have like sneakers or joggers or runners or whatever you want to call those type of shoes, and they get all wet, and then you're trying to walk in them, they just kind of suck on your foot. It's like, ugh, so uncomfortable. So sloth kind of does that. It pulls at you. It pulls at you. And it makes you feel like less than what you actually are. Okay. So when we move past these things, then we can move into what is positive in our lives and what we can do with that. How do we recognize if someone is near us who is exhibiting any of these? Well, a lot of times it's pretty obvious. Sometimes it's not, though. When you're dealing with some people, it's very covert, and they try to feed off of your emotions. So yes, sloth makes you feel asleep even when you're awake. Exactly. It drags. It's very heavy. So when we feel this around us, what we will want to do is pull in that white light energy and really feel it, really embody the white light energy, and then you want to push it out. So one of the things I do with my clients is I have them practice the white light meditation every day for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Then you start, once you know what it feels like in your body, you can just close your eyes and pull it in and do it very quickly. And once you learn how to feel yourself, then you learn how to throw it around you. So by throwing it around you, what it does is it affects the people around you. It makes your aura stronger. It helps you to feel better, but it also lifts up the people around you. Now, in next week, I think we're talking about how to raise your vibration and what you need to do in order to keep your vibration high. But this is a nice little reminder that it can be done very easily and that you can do this for yourself and for others. Now, caveat for that is people have to want it. a lot of these people feel like that is part of who they are. They feel like it gives them strength of some kind, it gives them some kind of power. So if they're holding on to it because they feel like they're powerful when they're feeling that way, then it's going to be harder to break through that barrier. And it's not your responsibility or your right to push into somebody like that. I know it's hard as we watch our loved ones do things that we just cannot fathom because they're self-destructive, or we could see them making these bad decisions. We can offer up a positive role model. We can raise our vibration, helping them to raise theirs. We can offer the energy, but the energy might bounce right back off. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to accept it. And that's up to them and their spirit and soul if they want to accept it and if they want to embrace it. We don't know what their karma is, what their lessons are, or why they're here. They might be here in order to create changes in other people. We don't know that. So it's not right for us to force ourselves or our beliefs on anyone else. Okay. So what low vibration really means is it's a feeling of being suppressed, and it's about fear. It's when we live in fear all the time, and it's anxiety, but it's deeper than that. It's like a very heavy feeling. Now, with each of these, pride, lust, envy, so on, we felt it in different parts of our body, and our body felt a different way with each. If we start suddenly like this encroaching feeling, then we will know that somebody around us has a low vibration. You don't need to adapt it. Even if everybody around you has a low vibration, you don't need to adopt it. You pull in the white light energy, you spread it out around you, you keep your field nice and strong. And it's not always easy, especially if we are going to school or we're living with someone who's very negative, or we're having to deal with somebody every day. Maybe it's a relative, or it's a sibling, it's your spouse. The only thing we could do is work on us. Yes, and that's another thing, is like people, when we talk about pride, they will oversell themselves and not really have what they need to back it up. But they don't see it that way. They see it as they have to get their piece of the pie, and they have to make you believe that they have all this so that they have power in the situation. And that's it. None of these things can survive in the long term. None of these things can permeate in the long term, because people will notice, it will fizzle out. But what they do oftentimes is they will surround themselves with like minds. And then when you surround yourself with like minds and you're in an echo chamber of negativity, then it gets really difficult to break away from that. So when we're feeling ourselves being pulled down, we need to figure out ways to pull ourselves back up. Pulling in white light energy, fastest, most efficient way, and works wonders. You may not be practiced enough in it yet, or maybe you don't think of that for whatever reason. You need to find ways to break free and be away from these kind of feelings. When you need to listen to yourself talk, what are you saying to yourself? Is it fear-based? And if you feel yourself becoming fear-based, oh my God, I can't leave the house because I might get sick. Oh my God, I can't drive my car, it might break down. Oh my God, I might da 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 da. Instead of feeding that and perpetuating it, answer it. I have a very good immune system. I will be fine. Even if I were to get sick, I would recover. Everything is okay. I bought my car so I could drive it, not so it could sit in the driveway. It's not of any use to me if I'm not going to drive it. It'll be okay. No matter what happens, it will be okay, and I will be okay. And that's important, that we reinforce in ourselves positive thinking. realistic thinking, but positive thinking. So, can we help others who are low vibration? You can if they want the help. One of the things that I think most people don't realize is that we are connected to everyone around us by cord, an energy cord. So whether it's thick, thin, whatever, you're connected, especially to your loved ones and family members and whatnot. So as you lift yourself up, it's like you have all these strings to all these other people, and you lift them up a little bit too by staying high. Not in a literal sense, but staying in a high vibration. And by the same token, if more of the people you hang out with are high vibe, where they are looking to be loving and they're looking to be compassionate and they're looking to be more, then it's easier to stay there. Not echo chamber like. We don't want everybody who's saying exactly the same thing, and it's like you're not really paying attention to what's going on around you, because then by doing that, you can then start to sink. What do I mean by that? I probably will do one about, I'll do a messaging about cults and what that looks like, and what creates that and how you get stuck in that and how to disentangle. But that's kind of what happens. We create small communities where everybody is saying the same thing and we all have the same beliefs, but that is not how you grow. You grow by being open to discussion, open to learning, open to growth. When you are in a low vibration, you are not open to any kind of growth. You are not open to discussion. You push everything away, and you just want everybody to know maybe your side, but you don't want to know anybody else's side. You don't really listen when other people are talking. So if you're around people who are like, yeah, whatever, when you're talking to them, then you know that's probably a low vibration person. Either that, or you've said the same thing a million times and they're tired of hearing it. But you need to discern those things. You need to pay attention. And paying attention and being in the now is a good way to keep your vibration high and to keep your vibration from getting low. Having a truly low vibration leads to depression, anxiety, not accomplishing things in life, and it turns into sloth, where you just feel like you don't have energy for anything, because you don't, because your vibration is so low that all you're doing is putting out fires all the time, and you are not in a position where you can move forward. How does it hurt us being around a lot of low vibe people? Well, it's very difficult to maintain a high vibration and a good outlook if you're constantly bombarded by negativity. In that realm, one of the things that I often recommend to my clients is do not watch the news 24/7. If you have to watch the news, and I like to stay up with current events or whatnot, 15-minute increments, 15 minutes of news, and you will get everything you need to know. And then the rest of it doesn't matter. You don't need to know of every horrible thing that's happening everywhere in the world. You don't need to know that, there's all this fear mongering going on. Especially when it comes to fear mongering, you need to be able to trust your own spirit and your own soul to guide you in the right direction. When you have a bad intuition about something or a bad feeling, pay attention, explore it. What does it mean? Should you go? Should you not go? Some people can become very specific. Other people can't become as specific. But once you start listening to your intuition, it is much easier moving forward to continue to listen to your intuition, and also to to be able to discern what's intuition versus what's just, you're picking up from somebody else. But all of that is about really getting to know who you are in your energetics, in your most basic components of you. So those are our low vibes: vanity, greed, lust, wrath, gluttony, envy, and sloth. Try to stay away from those guys. Not good. On Thursday, we're going to be discussing envy versus jealousy and what that looks like, what the differences are between them, how they could be damaging, and how you can turn it around. And then next Tuesday on Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics, we are on Meetup, and we are a Meetup group. We are two groups: Coffee with Conversation for Well-Being and Mystery, Mystics, and Metaphysics. And we talk about similar things, but sometimes we break off and do things on our own also. But we will be talking about how to have a high vibe and maintain a high vibration. And then the week after that, we're talking about energy healing and what that looks like, and all the different types of energy healing, things like that. So thank you very much for coming. I think that's going to wrap it up. My name is GeralynStJoseph. I am a psychic intuitive and a relationship empowerment coach. You can work with me one-on-one or in small groups. Just contact me and we will figure out if we are a good fit. You could find me on my websites, GeralynStJoseph.com. Geralyn is spelled with a G. And you can also find me on at Relationship Coach G as in girl, SJ.com. Mahalo for your time. And now we go into the talk that is only for the live participants. If you want to be live, go to Meetup, look us up, and join our groups. Mahalo.